Yes, that's very exciting. We're currently working on the next generation of Apply Online. There's some key components to that. One is a refreshed user interface. So for many years, ever since we pioneered the Apply Online solution with the Trident Group, which was Mortgage Choice and Aussie Home Loans and AFG, it's always been an objective to have a very standardised user interface irrespective of who the lender is. So we decided that's time for a refresh, and so we've got a new UI. We'll see that rolling out in the first quarter of next year. It has a lot of under the cover features to it, such as keystroke validation, and it means in perspective that allows a broker to input loans at a superior pace to what they can now. And we've lifted covers off that UI with some broker groups and had a really big stamp of approval. So we expect lenders to be adopting that very, very quickly. But that's just a normal evolution of our service. And it's a much easier to use, intuitive user interface for brokers as well. Another really big component is our next version of supporting docs. So that's something we pioneered with over the last 2 and 3 years in the industry. And that's now at critical mass point, so the vast majority of lenders now utilise that service. And so we've again refreshed the user interface and the user experience and made it much more intuitive and easier to use. One of the issues though with supporting documents in the industry is that it's a great driver of inefficiency. And the majority of lenders have been very slow to take up incentivising brokers for getting quality right regarding supporting documents at the point of sale. And so now they can start doing that, and we've seen CBA, for example, take a great leap forward in using the new version of the supporting docs upload. It also gives the flexibility for the lender to say, look, there's certain documents for certain loans and certain circumstances that we really have to have before we can assess a loan. Alternatively, too, lenders can also say, look, rather than give us your supporting documents and upload them individually and say, here's the pay slips and they meet our requirements and here's the contract to sale, which is a smart way to do it because it allows a broker to press submit and know that they shouldn't be getting a rework, and it's a better engagement with their customer. But now the lenders have the flexibility to say, look, here's what we need from you, and you can bulk upload those to us. And that itself is really important for something a lot of brokers, I think, in the market probably don't realise, is the security risks of emailing supporting documents. And I think most millennials, if they knew the risks associated that their broker was emailing documents to a lender, such as their pay slips and credit card statements, I think a certain amount would be quite horrified. So that's another really good enhancement. So it brings the whole supporting document process into the ecosystem of the broker group, into Apply Online and into the lender. So they're two really key components of what we've been doing in the next generation of Apply Online. Some other really exciting stuff that we've been doing is including the enriching of quality, enriching data and thus the quality of application at the point of sale. So that's things such as now we have a capability to electronically validate identities of customers at the point of sale, which ultimately means lenders can process loan applications without having to ask for ID, and also giving them a much better risk framework that they're working on. Other enriching features that we've done have included things such as the ability to order evaluation from Apply Online at any time during the application process. So that cuts down on the rekeying of data where brokers are enabled to order evaluation, and it also makes it much easier to validate that they've got the right security address and that the right valuation type is being ordered. So that's a really, really valuable one. We've had great feedback on that, and we'll see a number of other lenders come to market with that offering in 2017. The other thing with the next generation of Apply Online, which we're currently rolling out, is a much better utilisation of APIs, or actually the offering of really valuable APIs. So in 2016, we industrialised our first API. And what that API does, it allows a broker group to utilise all the servicing calculations of the lenders on their panel, and in real time give us a packet of data. We'll do the analysis and return to them what lenders will lend, what amount, and who will lend and who won't for the scenario that they're doing. Now, the benefits for that are enormous. One, it means it relieves the burden of brokers to be, keeping up the expense of keeping those updates from lenders and often reverse engineering them into their own CRM system. It also means that there's no issues around version control because all of these calculations are maintained by the lenders and published in real time. Now that real-time update functionality is another important one. There's been a bit of noise over the last couple of years around wouldn't it be great if lenders could update changes to their applications and publish them in real time. Now the brutal reality is they can and have been able to do that for quite some time. One thing which has been great for NextGen in 2016 is we've had our last two broker groups have decommissioned instances of what we call Apply Online Mobile. So they were offline downloads of Apply Online. As we say, if you're not online, you're not online. So we've had the last two broker groups actually decommission those. And what that means now is it opens up a whole world of other attributes to a loan application that a lender can update and publish in real time. So that's really, really extensive. And again, we provide the lenders the the flexibility, I should say, to adopt those updates and manage them themselves, or we can manage it on their behalf. What's just around the corner in the next iteration is really, really exciting. We are introducing some further enhancements at the moment which will really revolutionise the way that a broker interacts with their applicants in the collecting of information and completing of an application form. So watch this space, there's some really exciting enhancements just around the corner. It's a very big focus of what we're concentrating on at the moment, and that's being very much market driven. Look, it has taken a number of years for movement in that space of the digitisation of applications outside of just mortgages. And what we're seeing now is a real realisation and a great big focus also from a number of broker groups saying this is a key priority for us to support our brokers going forward, is the digitisation of these products. So we've seen a number of lenders lead in that space, digitising applications such as credit cards, the likes of NAB, the likes of Bankwest, the likes of Westpac only this week released it as well too. So I think they're really big enhancements. We also saw in 2016 the introduction of digitised applications for asset finance from ANZ and for commercial lending from Suncorp. So I think that's really good leadership from those lenders, and fair to say there's a pretty solid core of lenders who will also be very early adopters in that space. Why is important, I think, is a really, really good question and a bit of a no-brainer. Look, for a long time there's been a lot of conversation about the importance to diversify revenue streams, and that's becoming very, very relevant at the moment, and to also broaden distribution capabilities at the same time. So moving into things such as cards at one end through to asset finance through to commercial is a big opportunity. And I think they're important for a number of reasons. I think we're in a bit of an uncertain future where there could be an expectation of a slowing market, of more competition. We're seeing that in states like WA and Queensland at the moment. And it drives home the importance of a number of things I think are critical from a broker's perspective. One of those is increasing revenues across a broader base, finding more customers, servicing more needs, but also reducing costs of doing business. So cutting down on their reworks, cutting down on the time that they actually take to complete applications, to submit them, to interact with their customers as well. And if you're not dealing in a digitised product in that space, it's pretty much a do or die fork in the road, I think is fair to say. Yes and no, and I think that that perception that they're very difficult to do in a digitised sense has been, we were quite surprised at how much like a mortgage a commercial loan can be. But there's different levels to commercial loans. Am I going to do mezzanine finance for a commercial office building on an online application? You could. It's probably, though, may get into become a little bit too complex. But the vast majority of commercial loans are strikingly similar to a residential mortgage. And I think it's important to go back 10 years ago when we first saw the digitisation of mortgages, and people would say say till they were blue in the face, oh, you'll never be able to digitise a mortgage because they're too complicated. What about a self-managed super fund? Not that around 10 years ago, but what about a company or a trust application? What about multiple applicants? What if I'm doing a partial refinance, partial investment refinance and a owner-occupied purchase? All these different sort of scenarios. We've even seen a number of lenders in mortgage space do variations which have 11 different types of applications compared to a new mortgage application which is just one, it's a new loan. So technology can really simplify these processes, and I think it's fair to say at least 90, if not 95% of commercial mortgages are far easier to do in a digital sense. It also opens up the door for a lot of brokers who have traditionally written residential mortgages to again diversify and broaden their distribution footprint by being able to leverage data that they've already got and clone it into a commercial application and have really good guidance text and validation from the lender on what they need to do to complete that application and then submit it. So, again, going back 10 years ago when people were saying you'll never be able to do it, and now we have 99.9% of mortgages are done digitally, and I think it's natural that the other products will follow. I think the first point I'd make around, how's technology affecting mortgages in Australia is I don't think a lot of people realise how technologically advanced the mortgage platforms and infrastructure in Australia, particularly in broking space, is. And I'd say arguably it's the most advanced platform in the world that brokers currently utilise. And I think it's been really important on helping the broker market get to where it is today. We're looking, knocking on the door of 60%, the broker market's knocking on the door of 60% market share. It does continue to enjoy very good revenues, which are very, very justified for the services that they do. It's a very unique and a very good service that's provided. It also has provided a really good platform to have efficiencies in what they do. And to also leverage that technology to engage better with their applicants. And I think that technology roadmap continues to become far better enhanced. But I think one of the challenges for brokers is to better utilise that infrastructure that they currently sit on. There's a lot of tools which can be better utilised, and we'll see a lot more tools coming into market that can be far better embraced. Now, at the same time, brokers are obviously going to face growing competition from other brokers, from potentially slowing market conditions, and from new technology as well. And I think the important thing is that they are really well positioned to actually utilise technology themselves to not only survive, but to thrive in that environment. They really, really will. That's probably, that'd be my response to that. Look, I think also what I'd say how's technology changing mortgage world today is there's a lot of activity under the covers which are not seen by users per se. And that relates to particularly things such as information security. I mean, there's never been a more important time to manage the risks, and that infrastructure needs to be incredibly robust and incredibly secure. And it's also very important for managing obligations from a regulatory point of view and helping to manage APRA requirements as well. And under those covers, technology is driving a lot of assistance using a lot of data, particularly with lenders at the moment. We are working with them to help them manage their APRA regulations and other regulations which are emerging almost on a quarterly or 6 monthly basis. So technology is delivering, great benefits in that space. In the direct-to-consumer space, that I think will be a growing market, but at what pace? Look, it's very difficult to say, and I think to identify someone who's really nailing it at the moment, I'd always come back to the broker market. They're the ones that are nailing it, and I think we'll continue to utilise technology far better to drive efficiencies, drive better income, diversify, and have much better engagements with their customers. And as I said earlier, some great stuff just around the corner that will really revolutionise the way they do things.